Greetings, ladies and gentle readers. I'm Dwyron, and here I'm going to talk to you about Azarinth Healer. Ugh. Well, I should say at least the parts of it that I was able to read through. Because I'm not going to lie. According to my Kindle, I only made it 40% of the way through this book of how many pages is it supposed to be? 700 pages. All right, not too bad. Before I had to call it quits. Now, the first half of my reviews, as usual, are going to contain no spoilers. I will have a nice little warning down below in case you are interested in reading this yourself and don't want to get into the spoiler section of this particular review. So suffice to say, Azarinth Healer, I really wanted to like it because it had... Where did I see it? Where did I see it? Was it here? Was it here? Yes. Read the story. It took Royal Road by storm, over 60 million views and counting. And I went over to Royal Road over here, and as you can see right here, 60 million, 54 million, a little bit of rounding, but it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. 54 million views and counting. Cool. So I thought, all right, great. This is going to be one of those diamonds that you haven't really come across, you know? It's going to be a fantastic tale of some kind. A lot of people seem to like it. Can't wait to read it. So what's it about? It's about, a character, female main character, being swept away to a new world where, you got lit RPG aspects where you've got leveling and stats and, cool stuff like that. In the interest of full disclosure, I actually kind of looked down on that genre until I read such books like Cradle, great cultivation novel, that got me into those kind of books. Iron Prince, which got me more into a lit RPG, and a few others that I'll probably wind up reviewing as time goes on. To open my eyes that this is a genre that can have fantastic writing. Sadly, this is this one not quite meaning up there because it has all the hallmarks of the things you're not supposed to do in a book. Authors should know from day one. You all know the rule. Show, don't tell. This thing is chock full of telling. And it's sad to say. For example, right from the beginning, when we get to the new world, something happens. More about that in the spoiler section. But yeah, something happens, and the author tells you what happens. Okay? And a character has to react to it. So there's like a little thought bubble in like italics, essentially, that tells you exactly what she thinks of that happening and what you're supposed to think, essentially, about that happening. It's like, wow, that was scary. That's you supposed to knowing that was scary. Or, oh my god, that's beautiful. I haven't seen that before. Because you're supposed to now know that was beautiful and you haven't seen that before. That alone, I have read terrible books that made me laugh at some of the, antics the characters get up to, intrigued me with the plot line. You can go past it. You can go past it. Then it just does even more uncomfortable things. Main character goes to a place where they have to train. Literally 3 months later. Really? Needs a new skill. It's okay. 1 week later. Has the skill. Hey, let's go to a town. 1 week later. How? Has this been read 54 million times? I have no idea. I have no idea. You're not going to get into the story. If you're like me, you're not going to, because there's nothing to get into. It's like a paragraph. If you're lucky, a page. Sometimes a page. And then like an italics section of what you're supposed to glean from what just happened, the reaction, not because they're actually reacting, right? And like thinking about what's going on and how that, and being shown how what happens in the book affects the characters. No, 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 no. You're going to be told what's affecting the characters and how they're being affected, because it's gonna be in italics, right? Right after it happens. Yeah, it's gonna be like, wow, you were amazing. Character's gonna say. And then it's gonna be a Talx bubble like, yeah, they think I'm amazing now. That was fun. I should go do that again. It's like, okay. And all the characters are essentially going to think the main character is amazing. That's another really big gripe from it. Sadly, there's no dimension to any of the characters. There's no disbelief to any of the characters. Like, the author is trying to set up things that are so... I can see that being so cool. It's like, hey, this is happening. And you're literally telling us, you're not showing us, you're literally telling us that this is super rare and unusual and woo. But no one ever reacts like it is. It's crazy. Like, there's one section that's the equivalent, how to describe this without spoilers. It's the equivalent of maybe you go to, I don't know, like Harvard or Cambridge or something. And you go to a professor there. And like, hypothetically, what if I had a couple of manuals from ancient Rome about, what life was like back then, and, descriptions of day-to-day life written firsthand by Romans like 2,000 years ago. Would you be interested in that? You're someone who literally just walked off the streets, waltzed into their professor, and said that. They're probably not going to be like, I would definitely be interested in that, thank you, and I will pay you this much for it. And then off they go to come back. And like, who would respond that way? Like, most of what the character does would be met with disbelief, flat out disbelief. Like, no, there's no way you have that, or there's no way you're doing it this way, or there's no way this is happening. I just don't believe you. But all the characters like instantly believe the main character. They instantly are like rooting for the main character and like bending over backwards for the main character. And it's just like, this is wish fulfillment at its worst. There's no character development because there are essentially no characters to develop. And it's just sad. It's just sad. It's just sad. So unfortunately, I couldn't do it. There's very few books I can't finish. No matter what their length. No matter what their length. There's very few of them I can't finish. And this one, 40%, and I just couldn't. It hurt too much. Couldn't. Had to stop. Don't recommend it. Azarinth Healer, book 1. I will not be reading book 2. I can't even finish book 1. Started out a solid B book. B rating. I give it a B. Solid B. But by 40% in, it just wears on you, and there's nothing new, there's no character development, nothing is really interesting that's happening. We're never given a reason to care about anything the main character's doing. All the side characters are just bleh. There's no plot to speak of, so it's just like, no, D, I guess. Just because they somehow managed to find so many different things for the main character to go through, admittedly in the space of a page or two, then it's on to something else. I'll give you a point for that. I'll give you a point for that. Because, yeah, you thought up a lot of stuff. You put a lot of stuff in there. You just didn't expand upon any of it or reflect on any of it or had any of it mean anything. So, yeah, Azarinth Healer, somehow 5 stars on Amazon. I wouldn't go near it unless you're in for some serious pain. Serious pain. I would say maybe it had redeeming value as being like a child's first interest into fantasy or something like that, right? Until I saw here on Royal Road that apparently sometime beyond the 40%, I guess, we're gonna get into sexual content and traumatizing content and stuff. I don't know, something like that. So no, apparently that's not actually going to be for kids. So I don't know who this thing is for. Azarinth Healer, solid D. Avoid it if you can. Unforch. Now let's talk about why exactly it's unforch and what happens in the spoiler section. So here's your warning. Spoilers coming up. Alright, spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, should have clicked off by now. Last warning. All right, if you're still here, you're interested. So yeah, this book is interesting. It's disappointing because it could have been better, and I think the author might have the ability to write better. I don't know, because it begins off kind of trying to like slowly build up to something. The main character, she's in modern day. Forget where she was. Was she in New York, Chicago, something like that? I forget what she's in. It doesn't matter. She's never referenced it ever again anyway. And she's going to university, right? And we get a peek into what she's doing. She's like taking kickboxing as a pastime, I guess. She's not going to lean into it more because she doesn't want to like damage her body and be left with like bad knees and broken bones and like start getting scars from like repeated punches to the face and all that good stuff. So she's going like the medical route. She wants to study medicine while she's in college. So okay, great. So we're having motivation. We're having her choose not to do stuff. We're getting an idea behind how she ticks. And that takes a fair number of pages. It's like, okay, slow build, good. And then bam, she's in a completely new world. Goes to sleep one evening, wakes up in a new world. Okay. Interesting. How did she get there? Questions are being raised. We like it. But then it just kind of stops. Like all of the slow build kind of goes away. The character development that we kind of had building up here kind of goes away. She doesn't really think about the world she came from almost ever again. There might be like a paragraph or two at best in like the 40 pages after that. Or not the 40 pages, the 40% of the book I've read after that. But then it's just gone like, I don't know how I got here. I'd never ask that question ever again. And she's just immediately like, yeah, okay, I'm here. And there's some big scary thing over there. And she at first just doesn't believe it, which you would, assume that you're tripping on something. I believe she thought she was kidnapped or someone's like playing a prank on her somehow. But she finally realizes that no, she's like actually like in this world because there's like text in front of her eyes because again, Litrpg. And there's like obviously like a freaking dragon. Oh, it's because I think it was only a drake at that time. Yeah, there's like a drake in front of her, and like, oh god, this sucks. So she has to get on out of there. Where lo and behold, she stumbles across a temple in the space of like a few pages. Right? She stumbles across temples, chased in there by a bunch of wolves. Now, you should feel a certain way when you're being chased by the wolves. Like the drake not chasing you, okay, great, but the wolves chasing you when you've never been in a real fight like ever in your life and you know these things are going to rip you to shreds, the only way you are not panicking at that point is if the author told you, yeah, you're going to be fine, don't worry about it, yeah, you don't got to worry about a thing, I got your back, we're going to get you out of here. So yeah, it goes into the temple and it's like, I guess I just got to fight the wolves with my bare hands and kick them in the face. For starters, I'm not sure if the author has ever seen a wolf and how large these freaking things can get. Like, these things can be like 3 feet long and between 100 and 145 pounds. If that latches onto your arm because you're punching it, goodbye arm. Yeah, yeah, you ain't seeing that again, I'm afraid. Yeah, the only thing worse would be is if you were actually being mauled to death by a bear at that point. You're not going to be like, oh, I'm going to kick this thing in the face. Okay, sure, fantasy, suspend disbelief. Sure, she punches the wolf in the face and then kicks the other one. Okay, why not? Why not? But she's whisked out of there and taken to somewhere else to by magic she doesn't understand yet. But there's a fountain there, so she gets to drink the magic water out of the fountain and she heals right on up. Great, fantastic. Then she realized that she's going to be there until she learns how to escape on her own. Oh, by the way, and like, was it 25, 30%? No, 35, I think it is. 35% of the people that try to do this die. She reads that in a book, by the way. Forgot to mention that. Yeah, she finds a book. Spends like a week reading all about it. Yeah. She's fine with that. She's like, I guess I gotta do it. All right, gotta learn. So that's what she does. And then we're just treated to the 3 months later. It's like, okay. So she finds this place, and instantly she's just a god, I guess. All right, I guess. And then she like learns what she needs to get on out of there, because it's like a secret order that no one knows about anymore. That maintain this temple with like all these ways to secretly become like really strong that have been forgotten by the rest of the world, for reasons that we don't know yet. I'm not sure if we ever found out, to be honest. Maybe we do. At some point, they have to go back there and figure that crap out. I don't know. But yeah, she learns, and then she can go out, but instead of like doing that, she's like, oh, I need to get stronger. So rather than like go F anywhere, she just goes on another training montage. I wouldn't, it's not a training montage. I'm sorry, I'm lying. It's not really a training montage. It's just another like 3 months later. Or is it like 6 months later at that point? I think the first one was 6 months later. I think the second one was 3 months later. It's kind of nuts. Which is so stupid because you've got the bare bones of something interesting. You know? Like you found something, okay. Only 35% of people live through it. So you don't want to tell everyone because it's going to kill a whole bunch of them if word got out, like this place exists and you can get really strong by, doing the things that it says, right? But rather than expand upon that, right? And have her be able to like leave and go to the nearest town or whatever and settle in there and sneak back and get the training and be conflicted on whether to tell anyone or not. Because other people, they could use the training too, clearly. But you know that if you tell them, it could kill them. So there could be like genuine conflict and character development as she's like kind of lying to the first people that she meets so she can go and get really strong, and then they could get like suspicious over how she's making these advancements. Like there's so much you could do here with this setting, and the author just does nothing with it. It's like, nah, you're just not going to go anywhere. You're going to stay here for like about a year, and then you're going to leave because I want you to now. Yeah, before I didn't want you to, so you're just going to stay here, and I'm just going to tell people that time passes, and then we're going to leave. Like, okay, fine, that happens. At which point meets what do you mean? A bunch of people out in the middle of nowhere that are apparently kidnapping a healer. So she kills all of them, rescues the healer. Happens in about a page. And then makes her stronger. Lives through it. Congratulations, didn't kill the person you're rescuing. Then next page, you're at the city. That I mentioned you could have gone to. But yeah, next page, you're essentially at the city, and then next page, the character that you just rescued is gone because they left, had to do other things, I guess. And then a couple pages after that, she's back in the forest training on her own. Don't really meet anyone interesting. Nothing really interesting happens throughout all that. But she learns about a tournament. Couple of weeks, not entering, just gonna go there and check things out and be like, oh yeah, people are fighting. Cool. Interesting. And we know the tournament is cool and interesting because the italics that I mentioned keeps telling us that it's cool and interesting, and it's unbelievable and it's spectacular. That's pretty cool. We know that because they keep telling us. So it occurs to me that you probably think I'm being a little bit exaggerating in the whole italicized things that I keep going on about, but just check out this from page 138, according to my Kindle. Arriving on the other side was a rather petite woman wearing a colorful yellow and red dress, was the description. And then immediately in italics, oh wow, she's like a princess from a children's movie. Because those two don't even begin to compare to each other. Like, we don't have the description for what we were just told from the thought bubble, essentially, right? It's crazy. Like, if that's a description that you're trying to go with, then that's a description that you should use to describe the person. Instead, we're being told, and we're not being described or shown. On another page, we have a description. The lotus then seemed to split into smaller pieces that began to rain down, but just before hitting the people watching, they all grew wings and flew toward the center of the arena. Italics. It's like a jet and fireworks show combined, and those wings, this is the best. Like, it's like that throughout the entire frigging book. Either way, it's not. As you can see, it's not a very good book. And like the people she comes across, like they obviously know that something's weird with her, but I mean that doesn't really go anywhere. No one cares. And then she just comes back like more and more powerful every time. Like they see her, and no one really says anything about that. Gives them a bunch of loot. Like, yeah, killed all these things in the forest. Here you go. It's like, hey, how did you kill all that? Usually takes us a long time. It's like, yeah, I did it on my own. Like, wow, you're crazy. Ha ha ha. Here's your money. No one cares. It's like these should be insane things that people should be like, what? How the? I don't. You didn't. You stole this from someone. There should be disbelief. She should be getting pushback from like almost everyone she meets about the things she's able to do because things don't work that way. It's their reality that you can't do things this way. And there's just none of that. There's just none of that. There's just cardboard cutouts there to be like, wow, you're amazing. And then the Talix bubble comes up like, yes, I'm amazing. And that's just how it goes throughout the necromancers and the running away from the elves. The elves, interesting little twist there. The elves are evil apparently and like eating humans, so that's a twist, I suppose. But yeah, overall, all the characters are painfully one-dimensional. Nothing happens. There's no meaning for anything that she does. There's really no consequence for anything that she does. And I guess it just goes on that way for let's see. I made it about 300 pages of that before it's like I'd rather not. I'd rather not. Yeah. From what I've seen, I don't think it changes after the 300 pages. Really don't think so. So yeah, Azarinth Healer. I will not be touching this book ever again if I can avoid it. Though you are welcome to make your own mind. If you were of the opinion this was a good book, maybe you've read it before, or maybe you are going to read it, do let me know in the comments down below what your opinion of it was. Did it differ from mine? Did you enjoy the book? And if so, please tell me why. I'll be curious to know if I just like have a completely wrong take of this for some reason or another. Until I'm back with another book review, I'm Dwarn, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.